Okay, so let's get right into it. We're diving into a really critical moment in history, and our source for all of this is the ancient historian Josephus. We're in Jerusalem, and the city is just simmering, right on the brink of a full-blown revolt against Rome. But here's the thing. This isn't just some story of spontaneous anger. No, this is a tale of how one man, a Roman governor, deliberately, and I mean deliberately, pushed an entire city over the edge, all for his own personal gain.
Now, to really get what's going on, you've got to meet the key players in this whole drama, all happening around 66 CE. First up, you've got Floris. He's the Roman procurator, and his motive is pretty simple: greed. He's just looking to provoke a crisis. Trying to stop him is Queen Bernice, who's from Jewish royalty. All she wants is to de-escalate things. Her brother, King Agrippa, well, he's unfortunately out of town in Alexandria, so he's no help right now. And then, caught right in the middle, you have the Jewish high priests, who are just desperately trying to keep the peace.
So where does this all kick off? Well, it starts not with a riot, but actually with a plea for peace from a queen in the middle of a deeply personal religious vow. I mean, just picture this. You have Queen Bernice, a powerful figure in her own right, and she has shaved her head and is standing barefoot before the Roman governor's tribunal. She's in the middle of this 30-day vow to God, something people did when they were in serious distress, and she is putting her own safety on the line to try and save her people. She sends her own guards to Floris over and over, begging him to call off his soldiers and stop the violence. But does Floris listen? Not a chance. Josephus makes it crystal clear. Floris couldn't have cared less about the dead or about the queen's dignity. The only thing he cared about was the money he could make from looting the city. And it gets so crazy that the Roman soldiers, in their rampage, don't even spare the queen. They actually turn on her, and she has to literally run for her life and hide in the palace, spending the night with her guards just to stay safe. I mean, that just shows you how close to total anarchy the city was. Absolutely no one was safe. All right, so fast forward to the next day. The city is quiet. But for a guy like Floris, peace is actually a problem. He's not done yet. And this is where he sets his truly treacherous plan into motion. After that first day of violence, the people are understandably furious. They're all gathered in the marketplace, mourning the dead, shouting against Floris. But the high priests are terrified of what he might do next. They literally throw themselves into the crowd, tearing their clothes, begging them to stop, because they fear what they call an incurable procedure. And it works. The crowd calms down. But see, that calm is the last thing Floris wants. And this is where Floris gets really sneaky. He calls in the high priests and says, look, the people can prove they're loyal. It's simple. Just have them go out and politely greet 2 new Roman cohorts who are arriving. Seems easy enough, right? But here's the catch. He secretly tells those Roman soldiers, do not return their greeting, and if anyone says a single bad word about me, attack. It's a complete setup, designed from the start to create an incident. So you can imagine the position the high priests are in now. It's impossible. They know it's a trap, but they also know that if they refuse, Floris will just call it a rebellion. So what do? They pull out all the stops. They go into the temple itself and bring out the most secret things they have: the holy vessels, the special garments the priests wear, even the musicians with their harps. They lay all this out and fall on the ground in front of the people, begging them not to provoke the Romans into destroying and looting these sacred treasures. And their argument is basically this. Think about it. What good comes from refusing to salute these soldiers? Is a small moment of defiance really worth betraying our entire country to a man who clearly wants to see it destroyed? They're pleading with them. Don't give Floris the excuse he is so obviously looking for. And you know what? It works. The priest's desperate plea convinces the people. They agree to go. But in trying to prevent a war, the priests have unwittingly just led their flock directly into the slaughter that Floris had planned all along. And you can just see the dominoes fall one by one exactly as Floris wanted. The people go out, they politely salute the soldiers. The soldiers, under orders, stay completely silent. Of course, this is seen as a huge insult, and some of the more hot-headed people in the crowd shout out against Floris. And that's all it takes. That shout against Floris, that's the signal. It's the exact excuse the soldiers were told to wait for. The trap is sprung. Immediately, the soldiers just swarm the crowd, surrounding them. They don't even bother drawing their swords. They just start wailing on people with clubs in this sudden, brutal assault. And then, as the terrified crowd tries to run back toward the city gates, the Roman cavalry charges right into them.
It's just sheer panic. The retreat becomes a chaotic slaughter, with people being trampled to death under the hooves of war horses.
Now, this is an absolutely crucial point that Josephus makes. The chaos that Floris created was just as deadly as the Roman weapons. He says that, yeah, a lot of people were killed by the Roman soldiers, but even more died in the stampede, crushed and suffocated by their own people in a desperate panic to get through the narrow city gates. But the fight isn't over. The Romans push into the city itself, and they're trying to seize the temple and the Antonia fortress. But now, the people fight back. They climb up onto the roofs of their own houses and just rain darts and stones down on the soldiers below, basically turning their own city into a fortress and stopping the Roman advance cold.
So, Floris got the bloodshed he wanted, but his ultimate prize, all that treasure he thought was in the temple, is still just out of his reach.
Okay, quick architecture lesson, because this is super important for what happens next. The Antonia Fortress was a Roman citadel that was physically connected to the temple complex. So if you controlled Antonia, you had a direct highway right into the temple itself. So the Jewish rebels, thinking fast, do something brilliant. They know Floris is going to use that fortress to try and seize the temple. So they get up on the roof and they physically cut down the covered walkways, the cloisters, that connected the two buildings.
And just like that, the game changes. With his easy path to the temple's riches now gone, Floris's avarice cooled, as Josephus so perfectly puts it. His main reason for being there is now off the table. So he makes a tactical retreat, leaves one cohort of soldiers behind, a different one, at the priest's request, and creates this temporary but really, really unstable truce.
So the immediate conflict is over. But the damage, oh, it's been done. Floris might have failed to get his treasure, but he absolutely succeeded in getting his war. The people have been provoked, attacked, and tricked. And the actions of this one man, on this one day, have set Judea on an irreversible path to all-out rebellion. So the real question now is no longer about keeping the peace. It's about what happens next.